Nolan, when you're playing in those big concert halls that's being broadcast nationwide, we'll be saying, we knew him when. Thank you for being here and sharing your great talent. I heard Kate say this morning in our Unity statement that Unity's message is about practicality in living a meaningful life. Is it not? Isn't that what Unity's kind of all about? And as has been mentioned, today is the beginning of the Advent season. And initially, the intention of the Advent season was the celebration of the coming of the light. Imagine this time of year, well, unless you live, if you live in Alaska too, and having no electricity and the little bit of daylight that we have. So it's celebrating that light. My story about this whole season is that a traditional reverend would be maybe speaking to the topic of faith, which is the activity of this Advent week. Or maybe a truly traditional reverend would be referring to the Bible stories of Jesus' birth, using, of course, the Unity metaphysical lens so that the story actually has some meaning and some relevance and we can find ourselves in it. But here's the thing, I'm feeling a little bit like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, you know? Neither of those options is calling my name. Gave it a lot of thought, had a little silent retreat this week, thinking about this coming season and where I am and where we are as a community. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling the call. So here's my question. All that said, can we be frank with one another this morning? Can we be a little bit vulnerable with each other this morning? Eyebrows go up. Vulnerable? Christmas, here's what Christmas is. Christmas is fraught with tension, anxiety, stress, overindulging, overspending, overeating, overdrinking, loneliness, desperation, the big disappointment. Did I miss anything? That's Christmas. And maybe not for all of us, but I feel like, it's a big season for mental health patients. And Kate's field is mental health. I'm not insinuating that Kate is a mental health patient. Just thought I needed to clarify that. Kate is a nurse in mental health. So anyway, this season is a tough season for some people, perhaps many people, and I think it's just important for us to be aware of that. Now, here is the little vulnerability part. Has anyone in the room or live streaming with us ever felt any of the above mentioned emotions in the Christmas season? No kidding. Like, breathe into that for a second. Has anybody participated in any of the activities of overindulgence? Overspending, overeating, overdrinking, over the bridge and through the trees? So hold that thought, sit tight, because we're going to come back to that. Now, here's what else Christmas is. Christmas is about feeling full of love. It's about warm fuzzies. It's about getting gifts, oh, this is exactly what I wanted, and it's the right size, because that happens all the time. It's about the merry shopping. It's about the joy of giving. It's about cooking, baking, and great anticipation. Oh, and here's what Christmas is really about, I think, for many of us. It's about being with our perfect families, just like the ones in the Hollywood movies. Oh, and I can't bypass talking about Christmas without saying Christmas is about getting just the right amount of snow on Christmas Eve. Maybe that's why I'm having a hard time with this season. It's 50 degrees, for crying out loud. No reason for you to go to Austin. Tell Alan I said so. You know, speaking of that Christmas Eve and getting just the right amount of snow, because I love our luminaries in the snow. Our Christmas Eve candlelight service, for me, it feels very sacred and it feels very serene. And being in that energy of that service and having the privilege of participating in that service, that feels like Christmas to me. When I leave here that night and I'm driving home, I just have that thought, well, I've had Christmas. Now, who among us has any experience with those feelings and emotions? The full of love, the perfect family, the merry shopping. Do that again, let me see. Yeah, probably just about as many as the other, right? Can we identify the juxtaposition of these two scenarios? Do you feel like you furnished a room on the dark side of Christmas? Decorated it? Got it all set up? You know, it took me a lot of years in my adult life to figure out what I was feeling at Christmas. Finally, I figured out it was just this big sense of disappointment. And then I figured out I was disappointed because here's what I expected, and then here's the what is. And I was very uncomfortable being with that. How many of us feel like, and I know I saw hands, how many of us feel like we have a foot in both the light side and the darker side of Christmas, right? I mean, perhaps it's not an either or, perhaps it's more of a both and, yes? That we can see and feel all of that. And I would wager my firstborn, my only born, that from year to year, from week to week, from day to day, that we've all been able to identify with both the light and the dark sides of Christmas. It's the whole gamut, right? The whole season is just the whole gamut. We do laps round and round the Christmas arena of peace and serenity and disappointment and sadness. We just circle the arena. Notice that. So in my rumination during my silent retreat, I finished my marble puzzle, so I do feel like my marbles are coming together. That's a bonus. I do that puzzle at important times of the year. So in my rumination, my first thought about this was, you know, somewhere, somehow, there must be a middle ground in this. So I kind of stayed with that for a couple of days, and then what came to me is, what if the middle ground is loving what is? And that's a strong thing, loving what is. So if you need to translate that to liking what is, feel free to do that. A lot of us are familiar with Byron Katie's work, Loving What Is. And for those who aren't familiar with it, the shortcut is this. Loving what is a practice of being with what life brings and being with it in acceptance, being with it without suffering. That's a trick and a treat. So for today's purpose, looking at this Christmas season, let's frame it as being with what is, which brings us right up to the threshold of Unity's third principle. You're all reciting it in your minds. We create our experience, very key word, our experience of life through what we believe, think, and feel. Yes? We each have our own individual lens. Linda and I can be in the very same scenario, very same event, and come away and talk about it and have two completely different experiences. My experience is one thing, Linda's is another. We create our experience of life through our beliefs, thoughts, and feelings. So let's framing that in the Advent season, let's just breathe into that a moment. I create my experience of Christmas through my beliefs, thoughts, and feelings. There's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of work in that, spiritual work. Let's follow this trail and round the bend to how are we going to do this Christmas season. Let's go one layer deeper. Everybody still with me? If we really believe that we create our experience of life, in this case our experience of Christmas, through our thoughts, through our beliefs and feelings, then we must ask ourselves, what meaning do I give to Christmas? What meaning do I give to Christmas? So, a couple people willing to share their response. What meaning do I give to Christmas? Pardon? Time with family. Christmas is time with family. Another example of what Christmas means for you.
Thankfulness that God cared enough to send his son to help us and to be in us.
Say that again, please.
Thankfulness that God cared enough about us to send his son to be in us and help us to live life.
Gratefulness that God gave his begotten to be with us, to be in us, and help guide us in life. That's what Christmas is. So everybody, I hope, has kind of a vision of their own meaning. And did anyone come up with a meaning that I've already described on our lists? So let's pause here to inquire within. Does my meaning of Christmas bring me stress and disappointment, or does it bring me peace? And feel that in the solar plexus, the wisdom, and the order area. Does my meaning of Christmas bring me stress and disappointment, or does it bring me serenity and peace? So if some of us answered, it brings me stress, then let's reflect on what we do want to create for our Christmas experience. If we believe, a great comment that feeds into this, if we believe that Advent is the coming of the light of divine being, the light of divine wisdom. If we believe that Advent is that, then we best be looking for the light in our own hearts. Yes? We best be looking for the light in our own consciousness. I can tell you that the light is magnetic is the only word that comes to me, because as we find the light in our consciousness and in our hearts, we are emanating that. You know, you've been around people, you can see it, you can feel it. So not only are we experiencing the light, we're spreading that mojo. So what experience do we want to have over the holidays? Make a note of that question. What experience do I want to have over the holidays? Is it one of peace and calm? Is it one of silent nights and serenity and prayerful reflection? Is it one of joy with lots of social time, friends and loved ones, connection, celebrations? And of course, there are miles between these two examples. So as we sit with this question, what experience do I want to have? I encourage you to roll around in it for a time, a few days, and make note of what comes up. It's not something, to work at to get the right answer, but notice what comes up in us when we ask that question. Let's stay on this path for just a moment longer. When we're clear on our meaning, then we can set sacred intention of living out that experience. I am so delighted about what Josh and Mary shared about our youth ministry. Children who are setting intention. And what follows setting intention is making our every step go in that direction. Right? So what might be some intentions that we hold for the Christmas season? Shout it out.
Keep the spirit of Christmas all year long.
Wow. Keep the spirit of Christmas all year long. Kudos. Yeah. Make every step you take go in that direction. Another intention. What might be our intention for Christmas?
Peace and love to all beings.
What?
Peace and love to all beings. Peace on earth, goodwill to man, animals.
Women and animals. Peace on earth and love and well-being to all sentient beings. Now let me tell you what I thought you said. More something and less coffee. That's what went through my computer. So I'm glad that we clarified that. But, more chocolate and less coffee, that's a fine intention too. There's no wrong intention here. So as we head down this stretch this morning toward meditation, I want to touch on something that I kind of flew over at the top. And this is an important one for me. I came to it many years ago. I think it's really important that we let ourselves off the hook of gift-giving obligation. Hear that? That we let ourselves off the hook. Did you know that in 2014, the most recent year I could find statistics, in 2014, $284 billion of Christmas merchandise was returned. $284 billion in the U.S. Maybe we're getting stuff, spending money on stuff that somebody doesn't need, want, like. For many years, I considered myself a failure at getting gifts for my son and daughter-in-law and my grandchildren. I always felt like I just missed the mark. So you know how I handled that? We had a really important gift cards. I heard that. And no, I don't. We had a really important event here yesterday. It was called Alternative Gift Market. Do we have a people count? How many people came through? Well over 100. And this divine idea was birthed by Paula Land, and we had a core planning team. I hope I have everybody. Linda Blacksmith, Lisa Klosterman, Penelope Hedden. Who else was that? Jane, that's right, Jane Tapmeyer, and Amanda Green. So this core planning team for months put together the vision of this event, and we had the community room full of booths and tables from local nonprofit organizations. And these nonprofit organizations make a difference in our world, in our city, in our lives. So the idea of the alternative gift market is I make a donation to that organization in someone's name. So I got my son a donation to Kids First, a program that works with children who are experiencing their parents' divorce. I got my grandchildren books to give to other people because every time I go see them, I bring them all books, and their parents think they have too many books, which is impossible. And let's see who else. Oh, I got Rita, my daughter-in-law, a gift of helping young African girls stay in school. Rita has a real connection to Africa, and education's very important to her. And for Bill Graham, he teaches 3 classes every week at the Catherine McCauley Center. The classes are English as a second language. And so Bill's gift is a donation to the Catherine McCauley Center. You get the idea? Alternative gift market. And here's the cool news. We obviously don't have all the displays and all the organizations here, but our team has agreed to be open for business this morning because some of you didn't make it here yesterday. And there's a catalog that gives very, what's the word I want? Clear descriptions. Thank you. That was hard. Very clear descriptions of what they do. So this alternative gift market, alternative gift giving, doesn't get returned, ever. It goes forward. My son is making a difference for kids in this town who are experiencing their parents' divorce. Bill is getting the benefit of being able to teach more and more students English as a second language. You get it? So their goodwill toward all is going forward. We had so many people. We had from one end of the building to the other was full of tables and booths and displays. And please raise your hand if you volunteered for this event. Look at us. It was the coolest thing. In fact, we had volunteers. I was in the kitchen. I cooked yesterday. I cooked, I don't think anybody got a picture. I cooked beef, which I never eat. So, and onions, which I never eat. But anyway, what was my point? Oh, people came out to the kitchen saying that they came here to volunteer and all the volunteer slots were filled. They're like, do you need any help out here? We had like 6 or 8 people in the kitchen. We're like, no, we're good. And they said, I can't find anywhere to volunteer. Such a good problem. Such a good problem. So I told him to go buy some cookies and enjoy. So they're open for business. On your way over to brunch, stop by and pick up a catalog and look at it. And then you can meet with, who's going to be back there? Vicki, you, Lisa? You can see those guys just kind of toward the end of brunch. Is that okay if they can come back in and purchase your donations?
These groups, I went to all of them and talked to everybody that was set up. And it's what Paul had said, trying to have these feelings all year long. These people do that.
Yes. Yes. So the bottom line of this little piece is, if you don't have the money in your bank account, please don't spend it. Please don't buy part of that $284 billion that's going to be returned. Please consider creative ways to gift for Christmas. You can gift your commitment of time, of connection, of acts of service. So, we have a lot to take into meditation this morning. Pack a bag. We're taking our beliefs, our feelings, our emotions, our meaning, our intention, pack a lunch, settle into our seats, and I'm not inviting anyone to work this too hard. Just if we go into this meditation with the open idea of Christmas is, just let that question float out in the universe. Christmas is, and it's a fill in the blank. And I'm inviting us to be conscious of what comes up in us when we use the phrase Christmas is. Some of us might be at the stage of setting an intention for this Christmas season. Some of us might be about the business of really truly looking at what we believe, what we think, how we feel about Christmas, and shifting that to other thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Let us hold in our hearts this season what I consider to be the substance of Christmas. The light. The Word became flesh. The divine consciousness, the divine wisdom, the divine being is born in us. Let us step up to our personal sacred altar. Be still and know that I am God. And so it is. And so we fully let it be. Amen. I'm just having a heck of a time with my...